Alright, so we're at the B&O Railroad Company North Car Shop at the museum. So let's walk inside and see what we have in here in store for everybody. Oh, and right away, you see this C&O steamer number 490. That is so cool. That is so cool. That's neat. Let's take a look at the information on this thing. C&O 490 Hudson. 1925 and 26, the C&O Railway received 5 462 Pacific type locomotives from Alco, numbered 490 through 495. Generally ran passenger service on the George Washington train between Washington, D.C., Newport News, Virginia, and Chicago. So, C&O Chairman Robert R. Young planned to expand passenger services with a new luxury passenger train between Washington and Cincinnati called the Chessie. In addition to purchasing new passenger cars and steam turbine electric locomotives for the Chessie, the C&O's Huntington shop rebuilt the 5 Pacifics into 464 Hudson types. 4 of the old steamers were equipped with stylish streamlined steel jackets. Due to declining passenger revenues, the Chessie never ran, and the locomotives instead hauled regular passenger trains until 1953. So we are standing in front of B&O number 5300, which is the President Washington locomotive, and is a 462 Pacific locomotive. And we'll read a little bit more information on that. And this is in that shop building. There is President Washington, and it tells you a little bit more information about it in this. But they're basically the President class of locomotives pulled high-speed royal blue passenger trains between Washington, D.C. and Jersey City. By the 1930s, the railroad introduced modern diesel-electric locomotives to its busiest passenger trains. Most of the President-class locomotives were demoted to Western divisions until their retirement in 1956. So this is one of the President-class locomotives built by Baldwin Locomotive Works, 1927. Take a look here. I mean, there's just not enough room to get a good camcorder shot. Sorry about that, but that's just the way it goes. So there's the label, or the name, President Washington. You'll see the nomenclature P7. And so this is there's a couple different President classes from what I understand. B&O name on the tender. We have 4500. It's so packed in here. $4,500 nomenclature Q3. And so this is looks like it's a gratitude train. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. There you go. The gratitude boxcar used in the First World War, presented by the French National Railroads to the state of Maryland, in gratitude for the help given to France by the American people. And wow, this is so cool. I know there was one, actually I think it was a friendship train that was in World War II, but I had no idea about the gratitude train. There's 1604. We'll walk up here. I mean, look at the massive size of this thing. Wow. This is crazy. This thing is huge. I can't believe how big this thing is. Is this an articulated? It has to be. Number 1604. So looking at number 1604 is an Allegheny, and it is an articulated locomotive. It is a 2666 Allegheny Simple Articulated, built by the Lima Locomotive Works in 1941. And I can tell you this thing is long. Alright, so we were standing in front of an EMD 567 two-stroke locomotive engine. So this is right up my alley because I'm a diesel guy. So it's two strokes instead of being four stroke, and 567 is EMD's nomenclature for each cylinder was 567 cubic inches, and there's 12 cylinders. So let's take a closer look. Alright, so there's twin blowers on here, twin screw blowers. That's this part of the engine here. You got a blower here, and you got a blower there, one for each side of the bank. It's a V type of engine, which means you have cylinders on each side of the block, which is why you have two blowers. Each blower feeds each side of the block, or each side of the engine. Each one of these covers indicates a cylinder. So it's so you got actually one on each side of the engine, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So it's a V12. So this must be out of a switcher, because this is actually a pretty small engine, believe it or not. And like I said, it is I'm reading a plate now. 567 or 567 is the series. And you can see the light's not on. I don't know if I can turn it on or not, but it doesn't work. But anyway, so you have there's no intake valves on a two-stroke. They're all exhaust valves. So you got two exhaust valve, and a injector. This is what they call the cylinder pack. That giant nut up there. You take this nut off. That clamp comes off, and you can pull the cylinder pack out without tearing the whole engine down. That's what was so cool about this design. You can actually rebuild just one cylinder on the engine without doing a major overhaul of the whole entire engine. And then there's your camshaft back there. And this is actually ahead of its time. And basically you just pull the doors off so you can access either the oil or the crank or the connecting rod part of it, so you can disconnect the cylinder down below. And let's take a look over here. Oh yeah, I'm loving all this. So this is basically your fuel rack, your governor rack. This is what controls the fuel going to your injectors. That's the throttle linkage. You see the engineers, once they start up, they pull it to give it a couple tugs to rev it up. So that's kind of cool, and it's really a neat setup. But like I said, this is a 567 12-cylinder, so this would have came out of a switcher locomotive. That's, believe it or not, that's relatively being a small engine for a diesel locomotive. Then we have another locomotive engine over here, another diesel. That's cool. Oh, here we go. So, okay, here you go. Going back to that 567, like I said, once you pull the nut out, this is the cylinder and injector out of that engine. So you actually literally pull the whole cylinder pack out to do repairs. So this is really cool. You can see the injector there I was talking about, and the cylinder pack itself. Okay, so we're at a display, B&O Railroad number 7604 EM1 steam locomotive. I'm not exactly sure. It looks like that's a G-scale locomotive, actually. Looks almost to be an Aristocraft Mallet, actually, to me it look like an EM1, but it definitely looks G-scale-ish. Number 51 was built in 1937. It says EMC, but model EA, 1800 horse passenger cab diesel electric locomotive. How about that? So there's another new one I learned about. I like the way the nose chisels out. And check out the chrome trim around the headlight. So these, back in the day, these locomotives, look pretty fancy for hauling or pulling passenger service. Like the pride of the fleet. I mean, check this thing out. I've just never seen or heard of this locomotive before. This is crazy. It's cool though. I love it. Check out that big intake grill. Another one over here. Look at them windows. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. I wish I could take a look inside, but it's off limits, so we'll keep moving and panning around here. MA and PA number 101. Sorry if the shot came in dark there for a minute. There we go. That's better. MA and PA number 101, 1937 railroad inspection car. So over in Europe, their trains are much different than what they are here in America. They don't use traditional, what we call knuckle couplers, and I think that's true to this day. So here you have what they would have called over in our term would be buffers. And this was nothing more than a big giant shock absorber. So when a car was pushed up against this one, it would have the same buffer, and there was a huge shock absorber inside here that would absorb the shock and then push in and cushion that car when it was being pushed up to this. So this would actually push in as the other car was being pushed against it. And then the dangerous part of it is somebody had to climb under this after another car was here. So they actually had to physically climb under here, take this loop here, and loop it around the hook of the next car, and then jump out and do the same thing to the next one. Well, of course, you got your brake line. So, over in Europe, it's a little bit more different, more labor intense. And I guess the last Railfan video I saw from, I don't know, France or Germany, they were still using some sort of hook and loop coupler set instead of knuckle couplers over there. But I just wanted to show you that this railroad car reminds me of the movie The Train, because you can see them actually doing some of those maneuvers in that movie. Once again, it's kind of tight in here, but we have the B&O number 3316 Washington observation car. So this is part of the President series that I was explaining earlier in the video when we ran into the President Washington steam locomotive. And it tells you a little bit more about it. 1949, that B&O received 2 new Art Deco style observation lounge cars to accompany its new Colombian trains. A less luxury version of the Capital Limited, the new Colombian was an all-coach overnight streamlined train running between Washington and Chicago. And I'm sure you can find out more about it online. But yeah, it's a pretty cool piece. So here's a demonstration that the B&O Museum set up as far as how a steam locomotive operates, and you can actually see the piston, and there's a valve that switches back and forth to let hot air in and cold air out as it's running. And the piston is what actually drives the drivers. So you can actually see the piston moving in and out of here. And then the valve mechanism switching back and forth. Red, of course, stands for the hot air. So that's kind of a cool display to show somebody for educational purposes.